In order to complete my last video about the top 10 best players, it's also important to talk about the most overrated players because the Elite Chess leaderboard is often filled up with players on the top 1, top 2, top 3 spots, even though there are maybe 5, 10, or more players that are better than them. Let's begin. Number 5, Shreyas Ademulim. This guy is currently ranked number 5 in the leaderboard as of the recording, and where do I begin? So this guy, I have nothing against him, of course, but I think 2550 is a ridiculous rating for him. I mean, even for Hyperbullet, I understand that Hyperbullet is like higher rated numerically, but still 2550 is really high for this guy. And the reason I say that is because there's one game between, I guess, Cinnamon was black, Mindhunter was white, and it came out of e5, d6, h5, a5, e4, rook a7 opening. And Mindhunter played the basic idea with after knight d7 in the main line to play c6 and allow knight b6 and the whole infiltration on the queen side. And Shreyas was like flabbergasted in the chat. He was basically saying, this is the weirdest Mindhunter game I've ever seen, and just allowing the back rank. And then a couple other guys in chat were like, yep, Cinnamon's gonna win this one because he got the back rank. And Mindhunter won the game. He won it pretty quickly. He just steamrolled the position, got good counterplay. Now, the funny thing is, when I was a beginner, maybe 1700 Horde, I watched the Chess Whiz video called Around the World featuring Steubenfish, and he was doing commentary on strategy and his thought process during the game. And one of the most important things he said actually is that uh, infiltration is better for white compared to like a Zugzwang is a fortress, because infiltration gives white counter chances because of the counterattack and also the material sacrificed in order to achieve the black's infiltration. So I think like it's so weird that he's 2550. Another point is that in Hyperbullet, it, oftentimes many games, like lots of games, White's back rank gets blasted open, but you just try to win on time by just playing slowly and solidly and hoping that you can break through, forcing black to spend time defending, and hoping that he doesn't predict your sort of direction. Number 4, Chris Martinez. Now, it may seem weird to kind of put him on the list because he's only 2550, but even for him, I don't know, I guess I consider him more to be 2320. Anyway, 2320 is still extremely high for him. I believe that in truth, he plays more like 2000. Also, he has 28,000 games. Like, there's other players like that, so I'm not trying to single him out, right? Like, the Jesus and Lord, I don't know, something Lord, or maybe Lord X Lord, X Lord X. All these kind of guys have like 28,000 games, even 30,000 games, but they're around 2100 to 2200. Well, this guy, Chris Martinez, is like worse than those guys, the Jesus and whoever else, because I think I remember losing to the Jesus one time, and the Jesus is like 2150. I never lost a game to Chris Martinez after maybe 50 games. I think we had one draw actually back when I was only 2200, which was, or maybe I was 2300. I don't know. Another thing is like, uh, I guess it could be harsh to maybe go after Chris because he actually has like two wins against Mindhunter after 20 games, which is crazy. I think it might be because like I suspect I don't know for sure, but I think Chris Martinez and Mindhunter are both gay, right? Like I mean I'm being serious, like they're both gay. So they understand each other's psychology better, so Chris kind of has a good idea at his level to know what he has to do to beat Mindhunter. I'm serious, so uh, I think that the fact that he beat Mindhunter is not really helping to exclude him from this list, if that makes sense. And uh, I've seen him lose games where people play like g6, f6, c6, b6 on the first four moves, so white gives up all these pawns, black dominates the center right away, and occupies like every square. Chris Martinez still somehow manages to lose those positions. Number three, Stubenfish. So I'm kind of smirking because I was talking about on number five how he had good advice on the Chess Whiz video about, Zugzwang is more deadly than a fortress or than an infiltration. Sure, but the thing is, 2800 really number one on the leaderboard, like almost consistently. He's always consistently number two or number one on the leaderboard, and like and then when I see that if he's like 2850 or whatever, uh, I guess his peak rating from a long time ago is slightly higher, but anywhere like above 2800 is so overrated. Like, I believe Cinnamon's a stronger player, and Cinnamon is consistently lower rated. And also recently, Stubenfish played what was it, 25 games against Variant Spot, and it took him 24 games before he could win one game against Variant Spot. And Variant Spot, if you're black, it's quite winnable. Back when I was only, well, I've never been between 2400 and 2500. I've never been this rating in my life because my improvement was kind of like a big stair step. I was hovering somewhere and then I jumped in one sitting. And no, not because of cheating. I'm 100% legit. My point is that when I was a weaker player than him, it took me only 10 games or so to beat the variant spot. Of course, things can happen, but another point, like, okay, well, you know, Golden Horde, he was at 2500 and Stubenfish was at 2750 when they started playing, and Golden Horde won like 21 to 4, or maybe it was 21 and a half to 4.5, somewhere along those lines. And uh, everyone's like, who is this guy? He's destroying Stubenfish, just crushing him. And, like to hear this about a 2800, means by definition that you're extremely overrated. I mean, that's the reality in my opinion. Number two, Ingrid Vengeance. I decided not to put her at number one because number one is a little bit funnier in my opinion. Number two, Ingrid Vengeance is kind of too well known to fit number one, maybe, but okay. Got the 3,000 rating, but I mean, she's a good hyper bullet player, not the best, but maybe at least 95 percentile. And, but the thing is, she always plays white against 1500s and so on, so quite overrated. And what else can I say? I mean, mm, she's been famous for a long time in the Horde community, kind of since 2016, I believe. So there's not much to be said, I suppose, because she's never been on the leaderboard. She's like Leech has manually kicked her from the leaderboard just because of her method to racking up points. But okay, no judgment. Number one, Shoegaze Boy. So first of all, this name Shoegaze Boy is like the super gay name. Not that it has anything to do with the video, but it it sounds like shoe gay. And uh, whoever he is similar to Ingrid Vengeance, but the difference is that he plays classical. I mean Blitz time controls. Like, Ingrid always plays Hyper Bullet, but Shoegaze Boy always plays the whatever regular. Regular's a word I was looking for. I was kind of confusing standard with classical in my subconscious, but uh, what this means is it's funnier when Shoegaze loses than if Ingrid loses. If Ingrid loses a game, not a big deal, it's hyperbolic. But when Shoegaze loses, it's crazy funny because he'll lose to like some 1700 and 3 plus 2. Well, I did recently see that he lost to Ingrid Vengeance like 3 times in a row, and that's all they played that session together. And also loses to Akraput is 2300, and so on. I mean, probably, yeah, 1,000 points overrated at the very least. Whereas, Ingrid, she's maybe 700 points overrated. This guy's at least 1,000 points overrated because he got to over 2,700, but he plays like a 1,600. It's just crazy. And basically, what he does is just grind 1,500s and play like specific opponents, kind of farming them and so on. So, yeah, that's about it. I hope that this is maybe instructive in terms of just knowing kind of the players you're dealing with and the leaderboard situation and so on. Take care.